If everything is okay, and we will start now. So first of all, we thank you for all of us and our partner and users for joining our meeting today. So today we will offer some topic. This is some partner training session. The main topic is digital gateway in practice. Okay. Today I invite the Sunny Tan work with me, and he will later maybe give you some answers if you have any questions or any query. Okay. If you got any question or query, please leave the message box. He will give you the answer. Okay. And today we will cover a lot of topic here, but basically as usual, may have a main component here. The first step is backup of the Dinstar, and second step, I will introduce an overview of the FTG or digital gateway, and third step, I will introduce or share some applications or success story for customer use our MTG or digital gateway to set up the SS7 and E1 or T1s. And for part four, I think it's the most important things. We will give you some basic idea or some critical debug command and procedures to how to debug the digital gateway in practice. Okay, and the last session will be the QA session. Of course, you got any query or questions, we can always discuss. Okay, let's start now. The background of the Dinstar. I think in our meetings, I think most of us to know that what's a Dinstar and what are the our main product or our all the background profile already. So here come again. Here we got the I think more than 10 years uh, for the Dinstar already, and we have 200 employees for development, manufacture, and marketing, and maybe the service support and assembling line and so on. So we mainly support the focus on the development and R&D. And beside that, we also got a lot of the specialists in the VoIP or in the some IP communication or SIP communication, or PRI, E1, and so on. So we got some specialists or expert from Huawei and other manufacturer, other vendors. Of course, beside that, we got I think the should be number one of the market share in the China market. Of course, we also cover some market in Asia, other Asia countries like India, Thailand, and Malaysia, and so on, Singapore, and so on. Of course, we also offer the service or custom product in Europe or many America or South America, and so. So this is our profile ready, and in this session, I will give you some overview of our product. Okay, and here we can see, and actually we offer the 6 product line already, and here the first one is PBS. I think everyone know what the IPBS already. We offer the IPBS or UC solution for the enterprise telephone systems. Okay, if you use the PBS, you can build up your telephone system or service support center and so on. Of course, we also offer the enterprise SIP phones or IP phones. I think it's quite popular nowadays in the VIP industry. And we also offer kind of the modules for the VIP end users or endpoints. And we also offer the analog VIP gateway. We support the support like PSTN, FXO, FXS. It's a very old product already in our company. And here we got the SBC. We got SBC for the customer for connect to IMS or SIP or other scenario. We also got the software-based SBC. Maybe I think some customer have noticed that already. We so far we installed anywhere in the cloud base or in VMware or in the third-party appliance and so. So we also got the distal gateway. Distal gateway is we are talking about tonight, and of course we also offer the SIP door. The SIP door phone is for like if you got a paging system or intercall system and so on, you have to use the SIP door. Okay, SIP door phone. Of course, here we miss the one of the our products wireless gateway. And since sometimes in some country like in China is and we don't sell that, so we don't put here. Okay, and if you are interested in that, please maybe go to website or ask our sales or our technical guy give you more detail about this. Okay, so sorry for that. Okay, let's talk about the digital gateway here. And actually, just now I saw you already. We are not only provide the some the VoIP other product. I will mainly focus the digital gateway and analog gateway and SBC and so on. So here, since a lot of people use the digital gateway already, and in the market we offer 4 kind of the models for digital gateway. It can cover, I think, them cover most of the user requirement from small size to medium size, even to large size, which for maybe support the service provider or large enterprise and so on. So we can see that if you end user support a small size medium sized company, you want to build your PBS, you want to build your call center solution, you can use our small size one. Okay, it's up to support up to 2 port E1 or T1, and if you have maybe media size PBS or call center solution, you can use our media size the product for MTG 2000 or MTG 3000. Okay, and of course, if you are the service provider or some S7 solution provider or some large call center solution provider or integrator, you also can use our this one MTG 5000. Okay, and MTG 5000B, which is a very flexible way to plug in more modules for your solution. Okay, and here we got list of some specification. Of course, we support the E1, T1, support the SIP, SIP-T, PI, SS7, and also we E1 car also support echo cancellation. And here we got a lot of the tools like interface or cloud-based MS. Here, if you have maybe more than 1 or 2 or even more gateways or end user device, you can use our cloud-based MS network to manage your device. Okay, so it's quite convenient and very powerful configure it, and can monitor the whole system, maybe locate in different location. Also can use our MS to monitor that. Of course, we also offer support the kind of the codecs, which may be popular in the world already, and support the fax or eFax. If you have got the fax, then you have to transfer to eFax or virtual fax. Features can be done by the fax. Okay. Okay, I think this is our scenario in case if you want to implement your MTG, and you can see the diagram here. Basically, here we got if you use the MTG or digital gateway, and you have to use maybe you have to use this PBS or SIP server or call center solution. Here, just an example, maybe if you in case use the IPPBX here, and under the IPBX, you got maybe different extensions, maybe different service or different features. Here got the traditional extension. You also can connect to FXS. Okay, maybe connect to SIP extension. Or maybe you want to get the eFax or virtual fax, and maybe you also have to support like call recording, ring group, queue, and ring other groups or voicemail and so on. So it's very depend, as it depend your PBS you want to set. Okay, And if you want for example, here, if you want to use our extension from internal call to outgoing call, then you can use maybe your SIP extension, dial certain number, after then go to MTG. MTG will forward to PI SS7 or R2. After then, you go to service provider and outside users. However, if the customer, for example, you provide some solution like service support, hotline service, call center solution, and so on, customer also can make incoming call, just the quality ID number, and the service provider will forward to MTG. MTG then connect to your IPBX. After then, you route to some requirement based your customer needs. Okay. So it's quite common and quite straightforward. Easy to understand. If you are not familiar with that, you always can refer this. Okay, it's quite standard implementation. Of course, our MTG can also connect to the legacy system like legacy E1 or T1 solutions. Should be no problem. Here we don't show that, but it can be done. Okay. Okay, just now I talked about some basic knowledge or basic fundamental the description for our MTG and applications. So I think in the market, there are a lot of the digital gateway provided by the different vendors. So kind of the service, kind of the part, kind of the of course in terms of important things, the cost, okay, or price. So you may maybe face, for example, if they buy the PI, some vendors you have to if you use the SS7 or R2 protocol, you have to pay the extra license fee. Okay, got the support. So you will be I think you will be under the risk, and there's a potential charge for you. Of course, then sometimes if you got maybe the PI, you want to got the certain features. Some vendors, also offer the features, but you also have to pay the money. So in our Dinstar digital gateway, we all combine together already without any extra pay and extra cost to you. So there is no risk, no hiding cost for you. Okay, so don't worry about that. Maybe if you are maybe distributor or some end users, you want to got the more options, more models to support different customers in your implementation. So you in case maybe sometimes you have to use the small size, small models. Sometimes you have to use a large one. So if you consider or work with Dinstar, we give you the more options, more flexibility. We got the more option models for you. Of course, sometimes and like our partners or other distributor, you have own brands, you have own total solution. This if you want to build your own product, you also can. We offer the OEM and the software development. You want to add more features, of course, we can do that because we have very strong R&D and research ability to let you know all things can happen. So this is overall for the advantage compare other vendors. Of course, we also offer very strong support and very rich documentation and so on. So please, if you want to buy the digital gateway and want to do more about the integration, got more flexibility, you always welcome to contact our sales other technical guy to got more detail about the product. Okay. So here, since actually we got a lot of the implementation already in the world, and here I share one of the success story. This is from Turkey, and the third product is TTM. So TTM got the very large user for provide the DID, the sync trunk service, and all things for different like end user or enterprise. But I think you should know that if you got you want to build large networks, you have to know you have to use the SS7. So SS7 is a must. Of course, then sometimes the customer want to also have to use offer the call service or just for an internal call, outgoing call, use E1 or T1. So you have to use MTG to build a very stable solution or integration with the system. So the requirement here is TTM got the MPLS network in Istanbul and as a call data centers. So only one signal link. Here we see that SPC link, okay. And here actually SPC code is like a resource and it's very limited. So the service provider cannot offer you as much as you want. Okay, maybe one company only maybe give you one signal link, one link only. So you have to use one link or one SPC to link your SS7 together and build your SS7 networks. Okay, so of course sometimes you have to use maybe the E1 or T1 to create the your PSTN calls. So it's very unique and very challenge the solutions or requirement. Here we use the two MTG and configure and share with the one SPC code. And of course, SS7 also can make a backup here. Yeah, you have to make a backup, make sure the system is very stable and under the stable environment. Okay, and of course, in other side, the customer also need the 5 media gateway to connect different countries, different cities to make a call. So it's a challenge here. So let's how to implement it. We can see here. Actually, it's a diagram. I think everyone should know, right? Can see the diagram already, right? Here we can see that in different city, we implement in different city. Here we got the I think the totals in 7 cities here, and we use the two MTG as SS7 links, share the same FPC links, and on our side, if your customer want to build your E1 or T1 or PSTN core, we can locate set up the MTG media gateway in different cities. So after that, they forward to or combine together to SIG network or other networks. Okay, so here we can see the different city can make incoming call and to maybe eventually go to the SIG. And the SS7 here got the backup and share the same links. So after that, the all the solutions is set up already, and in this case, we can see that the result is we offer the stability here. We solve the stability issues or concerns. So, and we also got the more E1 or T1 connection for different cities. So if your customer want to add more E1 or T1, should be no problem. So we also provide the flexibility, okay, and allow you to enable to add more E1 or T1 in different cities. So here is our success story. Since its time is quite limited, so we only shared one success story here. If you got more inquiry or interesting for that, you always can send email to us or maybe ask the sales got more solution for you. Okay. Before I continue, I think anyone got questions or any you have questions, please leave the message in chat box and our technical guy give you the feedback. Okay, we'll give you feedback. So don't worry about this. Later we can email you, okay? Okay, and after then I will cover the overview of the MTG core process. Before I continue into the deep, got the more detail, we have to understand the whole call for process here. Basically, I think in our, we can see here in our MTG, actually is inside already. We built the E1 module. We also got the other module, it's called control module or CC module. And we also got the SIP module. Here we can see that if you got the SIP module, our SIP module will connect to the source switch or a SIP server or IPBX or maybe the IMS server. Okay, so don't be confused there. And on the other side, if you got the E1 modules, you got the E1 you have to connect to PSD or E1 or T1 connection. Here is a physical connection. Okay, we got the E1 or T1 cable connect together. So maybe you got the traditional PBS, you got E1 port, you always can connect our MTG. So here we come again. In the core module, CC module is control module for core block. Only the core control already. And the SIP module, E1 module just to handle the transformation of the IP E1 or T1. So before I start the more detail, I think we have got the whole picture here. This very basic physical picture here. Let's start the more detail here. And this is, I think this is actually it's the same as before slide and previous slide here. And for example, like we use the IP to PSD call, we give you the more detail or more steps to go through. Okay. Of course, if you got any issue, you always have to check the both sides. Now, first of all, you have to check the source switch or SIP server. Make sure your SIP server send the call or SIP call into the right direction or destination, or saying the right IP and the port. Okay, and we can use our tools to capture the SIP module or SIP message in MTG. Of course, then if you got the incoming SIP package, you will see it in MTG. Okay, and now step 3, if you got once the call is coming, you maybe suspect or maybe consider maybe some call into call control or some problem in call control, you always can check the call control modules here. Make sure you check the call control or CC module here. And if you, in case anything is correct, port number or destination number is correct, and you also can check the E1. Make sure your E1 got the right connection and signaling is up and active. So you always can check the E1 logs in MTG. Of course, we offered a command line to let you know the detail. After that, if you confirm that all the E1 call can forward to outside already, maybe connect to remote side, which is maybe other E1 port. So you have to check your remote side, make sure the call received is correct and forward to right destination. So here is some key step you have to go through. I think we share this is only for let you know or let you build up the whole concept how to debug your call. Okay. Of course, just now I saw the overall the steps, but here we got the more detail or more command line here. And if you are an expert or advanced users, you always can use the command line to debug. It's quite convenient, but very powerful. Okay, give you whole the call process and more detail. Here we got the SIP command. If you want to debug the SIP, you always can have to use the SSH and the PuTTY. You log in the system and enable the SIP debug message. And after that, you have to turn on the log levels, make sure right log level, then you can print out all the messages here. Of course, here we also got a call control module for debugging. Here is the same thing. We got the debug command. and open the control module already. After that, same thing, you turn on the log levels. And then here we got the PI. If you install the PI, you want to debug your PI, maybe some issue call issues, or you want to check that, you can debug call PI by the command line here. And same thing, you always have to turn on the adjusted log level. Make sure you got right message. Don't miss any message in the printout. Okay. Okay. Beside the command line, I give you some common. I think the share some idea or basic idea for the common issues in the SIP side or maybe the CC side. Normally the customer one, maybe you check from SIP side. In SIP side, I think there are 3 or maybe 4 problem always happen in our maybe the MTG or SIP servers. Sometimes you use the wrong port number, SIP port number. By default, we use the 60, 50, and 60 by default. Okay, that SIP port already, so it's a standard. So if you configure to maybe configure with a different port, you have to check. MTG also have to check number you want, configure that, make sure everything is the same. Okay, and if you the number is wrong, then of course then your call will be sent to different location or different port already. So maybe MTG cannot receive the call. And here sometimes maybe once you got the MTG, please make sure you read our user manual or quick setup, carefully. Okay, we got the 2 interface already. We got 2 interface to support the connection. One is for service, another one is for management. Service mean here is for call. You may receive the call data or RTP and so on. So, and the other one is for service management. Management is referred to the, for example, if you want to access the GUI, system GUI, you use this port. Okay, this is for security purpose and totally separate already. So if you plug your IP or want to set IP, want to set the maybe save or invite message or receive message, make sure the port you connect is correct. Okay, don't choose the wrong interface. After then, if you it's wrong, you cannot receive the call. And of course, you also got the maybe somehow in some reason maybe you got some packet is invalid on cannot understand by MTG. Maybe got the syntax error, or maybe got the some data is in normal or too large. Maybe sometimes is quite possible that. Of course, sometimes you maybe use a different the transport type for maybe TCP or UDP or others. Okay, so make sure everything is correct. Make sure the syntax or package can be fully understand successfully by our MTG. So if the message is wrong, MTG maybe reject call or maybe drop the SIP call. Okay. If everything is okay, then SIP is coming and then the call will be forwarded to CC module. We will enter the CC module. So in the CC module, we got the features you can control the call. Okay. And sometimes in the CC module, we got maybe different IP, because since MTG support different IP to forward the call to maybe different sub switch or different SIP user or PBX. So it's quite possible. There are a lot of the IP address and so on. So please make sure you choose the right IP address. It's quite common, sometimes, customer, confuse that and route the call to a wrong IP address. Of course, then, and maybe the software or IPPS cannot accept the call. And make sure you check the number. Since the call is coming already, I mean, if the number is the format is wrong, then MTG still cannot understand that. So you have to make sure your number is correct, okay? And of course, you also have to check the call routing. Call routing, because the call routing got a lot of the condition to determine which direction is available or not available, or right routing to right direction. So if you set the conditions wrong, then maybe your call will be forward to invalid, maybe the SIP trunk, or maybe the wrong destination. So always please check this. Of course, in sometimes you have to you have to give the right description or right name. Otherwise, maybe you got wrong call routing setup. Then of course the call will fail. Okay. And the last thing is number manipulation. Manipulation is something like you want to change the number. After the number changed, you then send the call to the other destination. So make sure the manipulation is right, and after operation, the number is correct or not. So please make sure that, of course, then this is for advanced user or experts. If you don't know what the meaning by number manipulation, please don't touch up. Okay, if you touch that, change that, please make sure you have to know that what you are doing now. Okay, you have to know the what you are doing. Otherwise, maybe send the call to wrong direction. Okay, just now I gave you the some background knowledge and some whole picture for the how to debug our course, and we also gave the some modules and how to use that. And in the follow sessions, I will cover a few issues. If you face the problem, you always can check in different way. Okay. Before I continue, any questions? If you have a questions, please leave the message. Okay. Our technician Sunny Tan will give you the answer. If you don't have any issues or maybe any questions, I will continue here. Okay, and this is, I think, the first one, or very common or very basic the operation here. And sometimes, somehow, for maybe the users, you want to set up the MTG with maybe the SIP server, or maybe with a legacy E1 or T1 port. You cannot understand or cannot detect the result. So how to do that? Our digital gateway offer the features for the maybe the basic users or some beginner. Okay, you always can check the E1 T1 status. Make sure your status, if you configure everything is correct, your all the link up and the physical link, signal link are correct, then you always can check from here. If you got the everything is done properly, then and the port will be the active. Okay, if you in case somewhere wrong, or physical connection wrong, or signaling wrong, you got the different indication here. So it's quite easy to debug the system. Of course, here we also got the, if you got the PI links, you will also can check the PI, make sure that your PI status, link status is established successful. Okay, if you're here got the problem, you of course cannot make a call. And sometimes you got the R2 links. It's same thing. You have to check the link status, make sure everything is done and successfully linked and active. You can make a call. Otherwise, you cannot make a call. So you have to make sure check your physical connection, check your link status, everything is done properly. Then you can start the testing or make a calls. Of course, if you connect to SIP trunk, you also can check it from the GUI. Make sure the SIP trunk link is up and established. So our MTG offered kind of the tool to check the physical link, EM1, T1 link, IP link, and so on. So it's for very basic users to check your data or status from GUI. And typical issues in maybe in case 2, and sometimes use our MTG connect to SIP or IMS server. It's quite possible to do that. And somehow the customer still got the problem configure IMS. So you can use our digital gateway to do that. And here we got the diagram here. If you can, in case like some people maybe user use IMS networks connect to your MTG, after that maybe connect to your SIP server IPBX. So it can be done. You can configure FE port 1, port 0, then connect to your IMS server. And you can also use the E1 or T1 port to connect to PSTN. So our MTG can be a hub and transfer the call to your public networks, and maybe the source switch or call center or PBS or UC or other SIP-based solutions. So here we can see that our MTG also can be backup solutions and failover. If in case maybe your IMS down, the link down, you also can use our TG. If TG is down, maybe here down, you also can use IMS. So it's quite flexible to do that. Of course, for customer, if you maybe face problem like cross networks, cabling, or call routing, and so on, so you can use our MTG as a hub to do that, or router can be to do that. Here got the some step. I think it's quite straightforward and all the same as SIP trunk, but here you have to enable the registration model here, and also have to provide the SIP account information and everything. So it's quite straightforward and very convenient for IMS user. If in case you want to connect to IMS and the E1 and combine together, then forward your combined call forward to a soft switch. Of course, then sometimes somehow if you as maybe the basic very basic users or beginner, you want to use this gateway and maybe cannot debug the call or cannot check the call, you always can check from kind of the tools here. We offer kind of tool here for your debug purpose also. And the first one is a call report. If you make a call, go to the E1 or T1 digital gateway, you can always refer the call report, can see the incoming call, outgoing call, and status here. Of course, we also offer the CDR. And if you make a call, go to the MTG and maybe forward to PBS or SIP servers, you can always check the CDR report. Okay, we've got the more complete CDR call record for you. It's quite easy to debug the system or check the call. Of course, sometimes maybe you configure E1 or T1 at this side, maybe configure other side, maybe connect with the SIP server or PBX. You are not very sure that the call can be done or not. So you can make a test. And here our MTG offered the call test tool. Okay, you make a call, just end the number here, then enter the number you want to test. For example, you want to call the PBX side, you just end the number here and make a call. So our MTG will initially make a call to the PBX side, so you can check the call can be done or not. Of course, our MTG not only handle the signaling, we also handle the RTP or voice data here. And sometimes you want to maybe you face a problem like one-way call, or maybe some call got the quality issues, you can capture the RTP package. And here we got the RTP package tools to let you know the details. Of course, you have to enter the go to the GUI and enable the RTP, and you make a call. You can capture all the RTP package, and can automatically download the files. Okay, and I think a typical issue for is for the SS7. SS7 is quite complicated the protocol, and compare the PRI. I think it's quite PRI is quite simple already. SS7, because the SS7 got a lot of the parameters here, and for example, if you want to connect to your service provider, you have to know the I think the many parameters here. You got the SPC. If you want to set up the SPC code, you got OPC code, you got the TPC code, you also got maybe the protocol you want to support, the ISUP, ITU, and so on. So you have to check your maybe your country locate, maybe different parameters you have to configure specifically, maybe some for some parameters. So SS7, I mean the SS7 setup is quite troublesome and not easy to debug it. So here I give you some brief introduction, and can be do that by the two ways here. We also offer the same thing. We offer the web GUI. You can always check the web GUI first. You'll make sure the key parameters set up properly. Make sure you use maybe the ISUP. Maybe in different country you have to choose different protocol. Okay, and if you got the OPC, DPC, you have to check or calculate the numbers and make sure you enter the right numbers. Okay. Then after that, maybe you have to check maybe the physical E1 or T1 connection. Everything's done, then your SS7 trunk will be created, and you will maybe wait for a few seconds. You'll see the links. Sometimes up, sometimes down. So you have to go more detail and talk with the service provider to check numbers you want to set up. Okay, and of course, for advanced users, we also offer the command line. You always can use the command line to debug the systems. This is powerful tool to debug system. And here we got the command line. You log in, use PuTTY, and as usual, if you, of course you want to debug a message CC module, also no problem. You can enable the debug module for SS7 here. We got command, and you have to turn on the debug message. Make sure everything or log profile can print out properly, and don't maybe miss everything. And you after that you can make a call. So our system will automatically save the log file, and you send the log file to our maybe technical guy to help you to debug the systems. So it's quite easy to do that. Sometimes somehow, and I think the customer maybe can see the we got the one feature for the number manipulation. Of course, then if you are not necessary to configure it, I think you don't touch it. If you know the rules or requirement, you can control it. Number manipulation means sorry means you can manipulate or change the number. After then, you forward the call. Okay, so we got the 4 direction support. The first one is PSTN to IP. PSTN to IP for callee, okay? And PSTN to IP for caller means like you can configure or manipulate caller ID, caller number, or calling number. It's depend your requirement, okay? And of course, we also support the opposite direction. Here's IP to PSTN. and the IP to PSTN for caller, and the IP to STN for calling. So all the things can be done in the 4 direction. But if you want to manipulate the number, make sure you test it properly and make sure you maybe if you are very familiar the requirement, you always have to know the details. Sometimes come the customer, give you the maybe ask you change that, but not the very detail, and you have to make a call and test that before implement. So if you want to use the number manipulation, you always have to set up and test, give more test case, make sure it works. Okay. Here I got the one of the, actually it's not the typical issues. It's something like a customer or integrator very interesting, and the PBS also have to support that. And if you got PBS, maybe here we can see the U1, MTG, and PBS. You got the IPBS. In IPBS, maybe you got the lots of extensions here. But for example, like you got the one IPBS extension, you want to make outgoing call. Maybe here we consider, for example, like 1000, make an outgoing call. You want to buy or link to certain caller ID or the ID number to display to end users. So how to do that? You can configure our MTG to combine all the relationship, one-to-one relationship or one-to-more. Of course, can be done. It's quite flexible and let your PBS got more powerful features for that. Of course, you can make incoming call, and you use maybe the incoming call ID to bind to our extension, a PBS extension. Of course, you also have to check the MTG and the PBX side. So it's quite flexible and quite useful features for the PBS users. If you have a PBS, you want to display maybe a certain call number, a certain extension, always display the physical ID, can be done by our MTG. Okay, so it's a useful feature. That's why I share with you here. And call number control policy. Here we got the sometimes if you got the maybe you are a service provider or large, you got a large call center or large hotline service or UC or IPBX. You don't allow the certain numbers or make incoming call, so you can use our MTG as maybe the filters to block number before the call incoming to your PBS. So here we can see you can set up the blacklist, the whole pool. Maybe here we got support a large number of pool, and you enter the all number you want to block or you want to filter. After that, the number calling, then the MTG will reject the call because what we got the pool already here, number pool to detect that. And so then the call can always ever into the PBS, so can improve your system performance, and your PBS always stable without any any blacklist call here. So it's quite a useful feature for the large enterprise service provider. Okay. Here, and sometimes if you are the integrator or service provider, maybe on the maybe distributor, if you sell your solutions, you integrate with other PBS or integrate with flip phones, or maybe integrate with Lexi systems, E1 or T1 interface, you always have to learn all the environment. You have to know all the core environment for the MTG. Okay, so we give a suggestion or offer the one of the scenario. You can always set up the loop test for testing purpose. Here, just you can see here we got the physical connection E1 or two ports connected together by physical connection cable, and we set up the two UC here for testing purpose or PBS. Of course, you also can use the third-party PBS to make a connection. And here we got the extensions. Of course, you can use a soft extension or hardware extension, or maybe use Dinstar, phone, or other brand. Okay, no problem. And you can see that if you make an incoming call, maybe call to the first extension, call to the first UC, and the first call will forward to the SIP trunk 1, and SIP trunk 1 will be linked to the with port 0, let's say port 0. After that, port 0 may be forward to port 1 or port 2, and eventually the port 2 will forward to the other SIP trunk. So other SIP trunk will point to second UC or PBS and forward to extension. So you can see that the whole process can be done properly. If you got any configure issue or any configure problems, you always can check the point one by one. So it's a very complex but very strong scenario for you to debug the systems. You can check, of course, you also can check the E1 or T1 connection, or hardware failure, or software failure, or maybe integration with maybe IPBX. You maybe got the point integration or parameter integration and support. So can be checked one by one. So whole process can be done. So this is our loop test for maintenance. Of course, if you are the advanced user, you always can easy to do that. If the basic user, you have to take a time to learn. Okay. If no questions more, we will end of the today training. So thank you for joining our meeting, and Happy New Year. Bye bye.
Thank you, James. Okay, bye bye.
Thank you, guys. Bye bye.